Hey guys, Telegram Sam here, and today I have a recent vinyl pickups video for you. I have about 10 records to show you, so let's get into it. First off, we gotta kick it off with the Misfits. This is self-titled, but I know a lot of people refer to this as the Collections or Collections 1. This was originally released in 1986, but this is a 2020 US reissue. Just classic punk rock. This is a collection of sort of the early hits and the first couple albums with Glenn Danzig. Glenn Danzig actually arranged all the songs on this record and released it on his own record label after he left the Misfits, and this album was actually the Kickstarter to a lot of the lawsuits and legal troubles he would get into with the original members of the band, Jerry Only and Doyle. One of many lawsuits, this seems quite controversial album, but it has Hollywood Babylon, Night of the Living Dead, Rare Eagles Dare, Vampira, Skulls, my favorite Misfits song, Astro Zombies, Mommy Can't Go Out and Kill Tonight, Die Die My Darling. Just every song in here is just one of their best. I love this album. And then it just came on this black vinyl with this Misfits custom label. And then next we have The Cure's first album, Three Imaginary Boys. This originally came out in 1979, and this is a 2016 US reissue. Robert Smith actually remastered this particular version himself. Sorry, my cat Maggie is scratching up my couch. This is just, them really sort of working through their new wave post-punk sound. I'd say this is more on the post-punk sound than the new wave sound that would kind of become their main shtick in the 80s. It's a great starter album. It's sort of interesting to hear, their beginnings and, how their sound came to be. It just came on this black vinyl with the label of the cover. And then next we have Townes Van Zant's self-titled album. This is just such a classic country singer-songwriter album. This was originally released in 1969. I'm not sure the year of this reissue, but it's probably within the last year or two. But it has one of my all-time favorite songs, Waiting Around to Die, on it. I love that song. It's so beautifully arranged song. The song lyrics are just so punch you in the chest. They're just so emotional and raw. Townes Van Zandt is one of the greatest songwriters that ever lived. Just listen to that song, Colorado Girl, Lungs, Fare Thee Well, Miss Carousel. I love that song. This is his third album, and the first two albums before this one were very, the label he was signed to really was pushing him to have just more instruments when he just really wanted to just be singing and plucking the guitar. So this is him kind of going back to a couple songs that were on the first two and stripping them back to how he originally wanted them. So that's pretty cool. And then it just came on black vinyl with a simple custom label on it. And then next we have the channel namesake. For those of you that don't know, Telegram Sam is a T-Rex song, and I actually don't have any T-Rex on vinyl. I just have a CD of Electric Warrior, so this is the very first T-Rex I have on vinyl. And this album title is very long. It's Zinc, Alloy, and the Hidden Riders of Tomorrow / A Cream Cage in August. This was originally released in 1974. This is a 2020 UK reissue. This is quite a controversial album in the T-Rex discography. It was very widely panned and did not sell well when it first came out because this was kind of them mixing, their usual glam rock sound with a more funk and soul undertone to it. I love this album, and I don't know why it got so critically panned, just probably because they were doing something their audience wasn't used to hearing. But yeah, it actually led to them getting dropped from their US label Reprise and they didn't even sell it in the US over here because it just did so bad in the UK. So yeah, that's kind of cool and interesting. And it came on this great gatefold with pictures of Mark and the gang. And it also came on this really cool clear vinyl with the purple and red T-Rex label. I love that. I think it's so pretty. Next, we have another great country singer-songwriter. This is John Prine's debut album, self-titled. This originally came out in 1971, and this is a 2021 Vinyl Me Please reissue. Yeah, this is just such a killer debut album. Probably one of the best debut albums ever. The funny story about how John Prine actually got signed to a label was because he was performing in Chicago in this little club, and right across the street from the club was this movie theater. And one day after Roger Ebert went to go see a movie, he just happened to pop into the club for a beer, and John Prine was playing, and he was so captivated and moved by John Prine's performance that he wrote an article for the newspaper he worked at, and Chris Christopherson and Paul Anka ended up reading that article, and they're like, we gotta go see this guy John Prine, and went to go to Chicago and go see him play and perform, and they were moved as well, and they ended up dragging him back to New York and signing him to a label and getting this album made. It's just so crazy how just little things work out like that. But he does some great songs on here. Illegal Smile, Sam Stone, that's such a beautiful song. Paradise, Your Flag Decal Won't Get You Into Heaven Anymore, Angel from Montgomery, Quiet Man. Just John Prine really just, again, country gets so kind of like thrown into the dumpster as like sort of this mediocre tractor beer sort of like almost novelty genre music. But when you really dig deep under all that clutter, there's some really beautiful musicians and songwriters that are in that genre, and John Prine is definitely one of them. So, and this record came on this really cool, like creamsicle orange marbled vinyl with that Atlantic label. It just looks really cool. And then these next four I actually got this morning, but I just had to get this classic Chamber Brothers Love, Peace, and Happiness. This is a 2 LP vinyl. The first LP is the actual album Love, Peace, and Happiness, and the second vinyl is a live performance they did at the Fillmore East. But yeah, this originally came out in 1969. This is the original OG gatefold version of that album. But yeah, the Chamber Brothers is kind of an interesting mix of like psychedelic rock, early funk, soul. I listened to the first side so far when I was setting everything up for this video, and I just really loved it. I wish I had this for last week's video. I might have thrown this into there if I'd had this by then, but I didn't. But yeah, this sounds great. And then it just came on, black vinyl with the red Columbia 2i label with the stereo 360 sound. And then this next band I really don't know anything about. I just saw that Jackpot Records released this, and I love anything Jackpot Records releases. But this is Corridors of Faces demos by Lazy Smoke. I guess Lazy Smoke has one of the most sought after sort of 60s garage psychedelic albums out there. I looked at the prices of the original Corridors of Faces album, and that album goes for anywhere between $2,000 to $5,000 for the original 1968 album. But yeah, this is demos from that album. and was limited to only 500 copies, and I guess none of these songs have been released before, so it was only like $10 at the record store, and I was like, I know nothing about this band. Let's try it out and see what happens. Haven't listened to it yet, but just came on black vinyl with this green Jackpot label. And then I'm so excited about this next one. This is Pentagram, First Days Here, the vintage collection. For those of you who haven't seen the documentary Pentagram, please stop what you're doing and go watch it. I think it's on YouTube for free. It is a really great documentary about the band, and specifically the singer Bobby Liebling. He was sort of the brains behind this band, and they were sort of seen as the US version of Black Sabbath, and some metal fans think they're even better than Black Sabbath. They had a really bright future ahead of them, but just like everything that could go wrong went wrong in their career in the 70s. They had like just so many band members go in and out of the band, and Bobby Liebling just became disillusioned and just kind of gave up on his dream of being in the great metal band, and was like a really hardcore drug addict for almost 40 years until I think he was a music writer, found one of Pentagram's early vinyl records at a record store, and just decided to get it on a whim because he just hadn't heard of this band before, and listened to it and just was like, oh my god, everyone needs to know about this band. Like, what happened to them? How come they didn't release more stuff? And like, they go through that in the documentary, and like finding Bobby Liebling and helping him get sober, and they end up like reforming again and touring again. It's just a really cool story. And so this is a collection of a lot of the songs from the 70s. I think it's 72 to 76. But yeah, they're just so hardcore. I've heard their stuff on Spotify. I have them, one of their radio station on my Spotify, and yeah, very hardcore. I definitely can see the comparisons of Black Sabbath. I don't think they're better than Black Sabbath, but they are definitely their own like hard rock, heavy metal, like doom metal sound. But yeah, this originally was released in 2001, and this is a 2013 US reissue. It's on this awesome gatefold. And yeah, this is a 2 LP set, and it just comes on this black vinyl with these awesome custom labels with the members of the band and a pentagram and a goat's head. Just how metal can you get? But yeah, if you haven't seen that documentary, definitely go check it out. It's definitely worth the watch, and just such an interesting story. And then last but not least, this is something I just purely bought because the cover looked really cool. But this is Spider's Web. I don't know what's on your mind. I mean, it's a lady's butt with a spider on it. It's so cool. It actually like opens up, and like there's the other half of the woman on there that's naked, so I'm not gonna show that. But this originally came out in 1976. This is an original version of it, and on Discogs, sort of considered like funk, soul, disco. Yeah, know nothing about this album or this band. From what I saw on Discogs, this is the only thing they ever released, and it came on this great gatefold. But what I found out later is that the two members of the band were married. It's Carol Kay and Kenneth Ronald Rice. Carol Kay was the original bass player from the famous session group The Wrecking Crew. She played on Pet Sounds and with other members of The Wrecking Crew, and they were just a very popular band that would just play on a lot of singers and artists' albums back in the 60s in LA. Yeah, I was just like, what? How did I not realize that? But yeah, that's really cool. Again, haven't listened to this yet, but I'm excited to hear what this is all about. Hopefully the cover doesn't disappoint. Just came on this black vinyl with this brown fantasy label. Really needs a good cleaning. But anyways, that was the last thing I had to show you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.